It's that time again for another episode of the Peak Signing Agents Podcast, where me, your host, DVO Derek Van Otten, is helping you become the peak signing agent you're supposed to be so you provide the best work for you and your clients. All right, so I am a week out now from that conference I was recording from last week, and in fact, I'm in front of one of my clients' offices, about to go in to do a closing, and I thought, well, it's a little early. I got some time. Let's do the podcast episode, and I want to continue a little bit about, or continuation from last week at the conference. I would love to share some things, some notes that I took from that conference. I hope you don't mind. I hope I'm going to help you with your mindset, entrepreneur mindset. But like I said, I was at the Limitless Arena, and that was kind of the theme. And if you're watching, excuse me, on Spotify or YouTube, I'm going to hold up the website of all the speakers that were there. I mean, it was an amazing lineup. I mean, David Goggins, Ed Milet, Alex Morton, Ty Lopez, Gary Vaynerchuk, Andy Frisella, DJ Steve Aoki, Tim Grover, the hip hop preacher Eric Thomas. I mean, some amazing speakers. So anyway, that's where I was last weekend. It was a great time. It was actually a 12-hour conference. It went from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I was there the whole time. And it was a long day. But I'll tell you something real quick before I get into my notes, is what surprises me. First of all, it was 7,000 attendees at this conference. I mean, it was a lineup, right, back to back to back of just amazing speakers and entrepreneurs, and it was an entrepreneurial event. And I was surprised, like, when I would step out to go to the restroom, how many people are just out in the hallways just hanging out. Like, that was surprising to me. I mean, you're spending, I don't know how much money the tickets were. I mean, they ranged from, I think, $400 to $1,000 for the ticket, depending where you were sitting. And I was just surprised how many people were just in the hallways hanging out or talking or eating snacks. How many people were just on their phones in the hallways? How many people actually weren't even taking notes that were attending? I'm like, you're not even taking notes? Because I think there's some type of study, I believe, something like that, where it showed to retain 60% of what you've watched or listened to hold that, I think you have to watch it 6 times. So you have to watch or listen to something 6 times just to withhold 60% of what was the message was, or what was being said. And notes helps me. I always take notes, because then I can look at my notes later, like I did right now when I was looking at some of these to share with all of you. But also, like, my wife, she, sometimes she can't make some of these events, and so she wants to know what notes I took. So I'm sharing with her my notes. So I'm able to kind of regurgitate it again a few times. And I'm just surprised how many people are not taking notes. How many people will go and sit in the back. And I'm like, hey, you paid the money, like, get involved, immerse yourself in the moment. Like, I actually got there an hour early just so I can kind of sit as close as I could to the stage. So I was pretty close to the stage. I was up to the front because I was there early. And in fact, I even checked in early. I checked in the day before. So I had a wristband. So when I walked up, there was a huge line of people, and kudos to them, because that means they got there early too. But I just held up my wristband, was able to walk right in the front door, not having to wait in line. So I got there early, sat in the front, and I just sat there and took notes on my iPad the whole time, and just immersed myself in the moment. And like I was mentioning, besides having that lunch break when I did the last recording, I mean, there was a football game going on that I really would have liked to attended, but no, I had to be there in the moment. And, there were some times where in the back of my mind, I was like, I wonder what the score is. And I said, no, be in the moment. And so anytime there was a gap in between the speakers, that's when I would check out the score and say, hey, how's my team doing? And they won 14-7. So that's always a good time. But I wanted to watch, and I even had a plan. I'm like, hey, while the speakers are talking, I'm gonna put in my AirPods and I'm gonna kind of listen. I'm gonna kind of listen to the game. And I couldn't. I knew I couldn't, because I knew I wouldn't be fully immersed. I wouldn't be fully in the moment. And I said, no, 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 nope, I can't do that. I have to just focus right now. It's just a football game. I'm not going to impact the football game anyway. There's nothing I can do to impact that football game. But I have total control of how I impact my life and my future, so I need to be fully immersed in the moment that I'm in. And that's what I did. But I was very surprised how many people were just kind of hanging out, how many people left early. I mean, like I said, it was 7,000 attendees. But by the end of the day, I mean, there was easily probably 4,000 or 5,000. I mean, so many people left early. And I get it. It's a long day. People have plans. People have families. I totally get it. I totally get it. But I am surprised, because you could definitely see some people left maybe like halfway through. I mean, why? I just say be in the moment. I mean, again, going back to like the loan signing system conference, I was surprised how many times I would go out to use the restroom, how many people were just kind of hanging out in the hallways. People are not even taking notes. They're just kind of sitting there, or they're on their phone. And I'm just like, and I understand some people take notes on their phone, but I also know the look of when you're just kind of just mindlessly scrolling. So if you go to events, definitely go to events and learn from other business owners, from other entrepreneurs and motivational speakers, and just realize that motivational speakers can't motivate you, right? You have to be already motivated, and then a motivational speaker will implant other ideologies or other things in you that you will take action on. But motivational speakers can't motivate you. You might feel motivated, but if you're not going to take action, you're not really that motivated, right? Motivational speakers only help you if you have to be motivated already first, and then they'll inspire you to do better. So anyway, I just want to kind of share that with you, and hopefully you have opportunities to go to events and learn from these type of people. And if you don't, I hope this podcast in some way motivates you, enlightens you, inspires you. I hope in some way my voice is able to kind of do that for a lot of you. And if you find that it does, if you don't mind, please sharing this, sharing certain episodes with people in certain Facebook groups, share the podcast. A lot of people do share the podcast, and thank you all. I do see them all. I do appreciate every one of you that shares it. And again, if you get value, please subscribe, follow, leave a rating, leave a comment. I do appreciate that. It helps this podcast climb the top of all other notary podcasts, because if you didn't know, this is the most consistent notary podcast out there. Week after week, I'm putting episodes out there for you. I have the most content on notary subjects on podcast platform, I should say, out there. So please share and like and subscribe. All the good stuff that you hear everyone say to do with theirs. All right, I am getting my notes ready here. I want to share with you some of the notes that I took at the conference. And I just hope this also inspires you. It was very inspiring to me. The first speaker was Keaton Hoskins. He's actually the one who put this all together. He's a multi-millionaire. He's the one that had the private helicopters in the last episode that was flying over my head. And he put this together. He actually put this event. He had never put together an event before. And he said he just had a dream to do it. And part of his dream was to selfishly do it for his daughters and tell them and show them, hey, if you have a dream, you can create something too. And he created this event within 6 months, a huge event at an arena with 7,000 attendees, with an amazing lineup of speakers. Imagine that. This is some of the notes I took from him. He said, don't turn your dreams into daydreaming. Dreams create visions. Daydreaming wastes time. And I thought that was pretty good, because when I imagine myself daydreaming, what am I doing? I'm literally just sitting there, just kind of, spacing off. And so he was like, don't turn your dreams into daydreams. Turn your dreams into visions and then make them happen. So I really like that. All right, the next one, David Goggins. Oh, if you don't know who David Goggins is, you need to look him up. In fact, I have probably the most notes I took was on from David Goggins' speech, but I'm only going to share a little bit with all of you because, right, you had to be there. You had to be there. You had to pay the money for it anyway. All right, so David Goggins says, go to the opposite side of comfort. Do something that sucks every day. It builds armor. I was like, wow, that's pretty good, right? Go to the opposite side of comfort. We all run to the comfort zone. And that's okay because all of us do it. We all do it. But he said, go to the opposite side of that. Whatever feels comfortable, do the opposite of that. Because do something that sucks every day. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's waking up early. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's whatever, right? Do something maybe it's marketing. Do something that sucks every day and it builds armor. It's true, right? Every time you do something that's different or unusual or uncomfortable, it makes you stronger. It builds that armor around you. I really like that. All right, next speaker, Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, actually, David Goggins and Gary Vaynerchuk were probably two of the speakers I was really excited about. And that's because I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast every day. Every morning I listen to his podcast. And that's what he said. He said, everyone's looking for the shortcut and cheat codes. But there isn't any. You have to put in the work. You know, he's like saying, everyone wants to be influencers. He gets it. He doesn't hate on that. But everyone's looking for the cheat code. Everyone's looking for the diet pill to burn fat, to lose weight. There is no cheat code. You need to eat right and exercise. That's the way to get in shape. There's no cheat code diet pill. Same with entrepreneurship. Same with building a business, like you're doing. There's no shortcut. There's no cheat code. You just have to follow a system and do it. All right, Ed Milet. He's great too. Oh, this one's a good one. The perception that your goals are so far away affects your actions. Your goals are closer than you think. I'll read it again. The perception that your goals are so far away affects your actions. Your goals are closer than you think. So if you think it's so far away, like let's just say my goal is to own 10 acres of a property on a ranch and to drive a Lamborghini and Ferrari and have a private helicopter. If that's your goal, and there's nothing wrong with that goal, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that goal. But for most people, you have a goal like that, but then you think, oh, that's my goal, but that is so out of touch. That is so far away. You don't really do the actions necessary to get that goal. Whatever goal you have, it can be achieved. But it's your mentality, right? So like, let's just use some of my goals. I want to have $1 million signing service. I want to be super healthy. I want to have a great relationship with my family members and my close friends. I kind of want a Tesla Y. I'm kind of leaning towards one of those. I want a Rolls Royce. I want a cabin up in the mountains. So those are my goals. There's nothing wrong with my goals. Those are my goals. Whatever your goals are, put those in place. But then you can't think, oh, but to make $1 million a year business, like that's just too hard. And then you don't put the actions in to do that. To own a Rolls Royce, that's a $100,000 car. I have to fathom the idea of owning a car that's $100,000. See, it's that mentality that prevents you to put the actions in place. But if you have that goal and say, okay, what do I need to achieve that goal? And then you must be willing to put in the work to do that, because any goal is accomplishable. So I like that, because sometimes we think, oh gosh, I really want that. I want a really nice house, but then I also want that cabin in the mountains. But how am I gonna afford a cabin in the mountains that I won't even go to very often? I'll probably only go to it, 6 times a year. But see, it's that mentality again that won't allow me to put in the action. But if I put in the action and I make a business that creates, $5 million a year, then that's okay. It's within. You have to be within the means, right? And you have to also be willing to put in the work. So I really liked that way to look at my goals. All right, hip-hop preacher Eric Thomas, he said, real entrepreneurs don't have a safety net. There's no protection from failures. But we have the power to make decisions and write our own story. How many of you kind of feel like you're alone sometimes in this entrepreneurial journey? Sometimes I do, right? And I know I'm not. I know I have an army of people on my side. I know I have a lot of people that are willing to help me out. I have mentors that I can reach out to. But there are times where you do feel alone, right? Solopreneurs, they call us sometimes. Because we're alone. We're out there in the trenches on our own. And we don't have a safety net, right? I don't have a job to turn back to. I don't have a rich uncle I can turn to borrow money from. I don't have a safety net. I take risks and gambles in my business all the time. And that's what makes me powerful, is that I have the power to make decisions and write my own story. No one is in charge of me. Maybe my wife might debate that and say maybe she is. But we're partners. But we have the power to write our own story every single day we wake up. We decide our future. I really like that. I thought that was great. Tim Grover. If you're not familiar with Tim Grover, he has helped a lot of successful sports athletes. He is, I don't even know what his title is. I don't even know what he is. Because they showed like a little sizzle reel for him. And it shows him like working out with some professional athletes. And it also showed him like talking to them. So I'm not sure exactly what he does. I don't know if he's a mindset coach or a trainer. I don't know. But he's pretty phenomenal. And this is what he said. So many people won't have freedom because they allow someone else to have the key to their brain. Wow. How powerful is that? So many people won't have freedom because they allow someone else have the key to their brain. Right? Don't let someone else's opinion, comments control you. Don't let anyone live rent-free in your brain. I don't know about you, but I've had people question me going into business before. I've had loved ones like my mom even tell me, why don't you just go get a job? Right? When she was seeing me struggle as an entrepreneur. And I'm sure a lot of you have had loved ones say something like that. And now remember, I keep in mind that they have good intentions, right? Their intentions are to keep me safe and financially secure, but that is not how I'll be successful in life. Being safe, being comfortable, how we talked about earlier, being comfortable is not going to help me succeed in life. I have to be uncomfortable, like David Goggins says. I remember when I was first getting into business and I had a job. This was 15 years ago, and someone said, "Are you sure?" Because I kind of heard this and I heard that, and I'm like, and I was just kind of floored. I'm like, oh, I thought you guys would be happy for me. I thought you'd be supportive of me. I remember when I first became a signing agent. My wife was telling her family, and they were like, "A notary? He's going to be a notary? Like, can't people just go to the bank? Like, how's he gonna make money doing this?" Right? They didn't see the vision. They don't see what I've got, what I have in my mind. But I knew there was potential because I saw successful people. So I knew there was potential for me as well. And I had to take a risk on myself. I had to gamble on myself. So I thought that was really good. Don't let other people have the key to your brain or your heart. He talked a lot about heart, so I'll add that to it too. Don't allow anyone else to have the key to your heart or brain. That is for you. All right. The next is Jen Gottlieb. Oh, this was good. This is good. Especially for someone that's starting off in business, whether you're becoming a signing agent or any business. in anything. Listen to this. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. So many people want to compare where someone else is, compare themselves to someone else's. And there's nothing wrong. Well, as I said, I did an episode, right? We don't want to always be comparing. You want to be competing. So she said, stop comparing your chapter 1, your beginnings, your starting point with someone else's chapter 20, someone brand new that's listening to this podcast. And they're looking at someone like me and saying, "Oh my gosh, look at Derek. I mean, he's so amazing. He's so successful. Like, how can I ever get there?" Hey, listen, you can't compare your starting point to where I am today, because my starting point was not pretty. All right, I stuttered. I remember the first loan packages. One of the first ones I did was a VA loan, and it was a ton. It was like 200 pages, and I remember it was a mix of letter and legal size paper, and I didn't realize on my printer there's a little flip up lid. So I'm printing. I run to the bathroom. I come back. There's paper all over the floor because it just kept going. It printed out and it just kept going. And as more pages went, they started falling off. And I didn't realize there's a little lip that you can flip out, and it'll help the pages from falling over. I didn't know that, right? I had to put it all together. I had to put all these tabs all over my first couple of signings. So sign here, notarize here. That took up so much time. That was a waste of time. And then I did the signing, got all complete, shipped it out. I didn't hear any problems, so it must have went through, and then I didn't even get paid. Right? That was some of my beginnings. Right? We all go through some stuff. Don't compare your starting point wherever you're at. Even if you're like you've been doing this for a couple years, don't compare where you're at with someone that's been doing it for a very long time. You can't compare. So I really like that. All right, the next speaker I've got, the next two speakers, I actually haven't heard of these two guys. And this is my first time hearing of these two guys, and these guys are amazing. And I'm going to start diving into some of their stuff. The next one is Alex Morton. And he said here, "What you hear goes into your heart. So what are you listening to? Program your mind to win." Oh, I love that. Right? What you hear goes into your heart. What are you listening to? Are you listening to are you watching the news? Please don't watch the news. They are programming you to be a victim. All it is negativity. All it is something bad happening, because that's what catches the viewers. People like the drama. Don't watch the news, all right? Don't get into politics. There's so much negativity in politics. I just see so many people just get so riled up over politics. Like, I just stay away from it. I stay away from it. I listen to some of the debates when it's time to vote, and then I'll just see who I feel comfortable with. And if I don't feel comfortable with anybody, then I don't vote, right? That's just me. And so, what are you listening to? Are you listening to audiobooks? Are you listening to motivational speeches and talks? That's important, right? You need to program your mind to win, he said. I thought that was fantastic. Again, we just surround ourselves with so much victimness, a victim mentality all the time. It's just people complaining. Program your mind to win and find the little wins. Find the little wins in your day. Starting off in the morning, you waking up is a huge win because you're alive to breathe again. Everyone has the option, or not everyone has the option. Everyone is born and has the privilege to live young, but not everyone has the privilege to grow old. And so just waking up every day is a win. That's a win when you wake up every day. Know that. Find every little win. Hey, you know what? You said yes. Maybe you didn't get the job, but you said yes. Hey, that's a win. All right? So find every little reason to celebrate wins. Program your mind to win. All right, the next one, Andy Elliott. Wow, this guy is intense. This guy is intense. I mean, I think he threw the most F-bombs out there. There's quite a few F-bombs that were thrown around, but he might have thrown the most. Andy Elliott has a sales program, and he's got a boot camp of guys, and they're all like, everyone's fit on his team, men and women, and they're all pretty fit, and he's pretty intense. I think he was in the military or something like that, because he is intense. But this is what he said. Oh, this kind of goes along with what I said in the beginning. Be where your feet are at. Be present mentally where you're at. And that's good, because so many, especially solopreneurs again, so many of us go home And we should be present with our family when we're thinking about work. We're thinking about business. And then we're out working and doing business and thinking, oh, I wish I was home with my family. Right? Guilty. Me, guilty. So I really took this to heart. I'm like, hey, be present with where I'm at. Wherever I'm at, I need to be present in that moment. So if I'm out marketing, if I'm out working, then that's what I need to focus on. I'm not on social media. I'm not calling my wife. I'm not talking to the kids. No, I'm marketing. I'm working. I'm driving. I'm doing signings. Then when I'm home, hey, that's enough. Put the emails down. Right? I'm like, put the phone down. Be with the family. Have dinner. Watch TV. Play. Whatever we got to do. Be present with where your feet are at. Be mentally where you're at. I thought that was good. All right, next one. Pace Morby. Pace Morby. He was a contractor, builder, home builder, and now he's in 2 different parts of business with real estate. And I thought his was pretty good because, we are in the real estate industry, right? Pace was in the real estate industry. He was a contractor. We always think of real estate agents. We always think of mortgage officers, loan officers. But, us signing agents, we're part of the real estate industry as well. It doesn't get done. But this is what he said. Wealth in real estate comes from ownership. Right? He's like, if you're a real estate agent, you're going to make money because so many people go into real estate, right? You're going to make money and you could be financially well off, but there's a good chance you won't be wealthy. The wealthy in real estate comes from the ownership of real estate. So I really like that. That's kind of where me and my wife are kind of talking now too. We want to get into real estate investing. All right. The next 2, these were the closeout speakers. And these 2 gentlemen are just amazing entrepreneurs, right? They really motivate me. Brad Lee was the next one. This is what he said. Relationships with people is what's valuable. People on their deathbeds are thinking of their loved ones, not their Lamborghinis. So true, right? In fact, I'm surprised of how many of these entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs, how much they talk about death, how much they talk about that. And I was very surprised about that. And they're not saying it like, oh, I'm going to miss all my worldly possessions. That's not what they're saying. That's not what Brad is saying here. They're saying you're not taking any of it with you. You're not taking any of the money, any of the things you acquire. You're not taking this with you when you're gone. When you're gone, you're gone. And I'm going to be fully transparent with all of you watching or listening. I don't know what it is. I've got some issue with me where I think about my death continuously. Like I think about dying multiple times every single day. I think about getting in a car accident. I think about just having, a heart attack. Getting hit on my motorcycle. Just having a brain aneurysm. Like I worry about this every single day, multiple times a day. I don't know why. And I don't know if I need to get counseling. I've thought about, should I go to counseling? Should I get a therapist and talk about this? And I'm not sure yet. So if anyone has suggestions, feel free to reach out to me. But it's a problem I have mentally, but it's not really a problem for me. I know if I have a close person to me, and they were telling my wife the same thing. Like they think about their death all the time. And it makes them freeze. Like they freeze up to do anything because they're like, what's the point? I'm going to die one day. And my wife is telling me this. I'm like, that is so, I want to say that's so funny to me, but it's not really that funny to me. But I guess it's funny in a sarcastic way, but it's funny because for me, that thought that goes through my head every day, it motivates me even more because I know I'm limited. I am limited in this world. And this event is called Limitless, right? We need to think that we have no limits, but that we are limited in one aspect, and that is that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed another breath. And this was mentioned many times in this conference. We're not guaranteed another breath. We're not guaranteed another heartbeat. Was what Tim Grover said. And in fact, at the end, he said, "Thank you all for sharing your heartbeats with me as I was speaking today." And it motivates me to take action. Like, I want to do big things because I want to be remembered. And it's not to be remembered like I want people to read about me in history books, even though I wouldn't mind. But I don't want. I want my great grandkids to know about me, to know what I did to maybe change our family tree. It's there are people, there are famous people in this world and successful people in this world, and they've affected generations of their family, and I would like to be one of those. I would like to be one of those. So it motivates me. It motivates me, like when I'm home with the family, to be really present with them at the moment, because I know it's not guaranteed. So that thought goes to my mind, but makes me, it's just different, I guess. I don't know if you've heard of this comparison. There are twin boys. Okay, let me know if you've heard the story before. I don't even know if this is a real story or just an analogy. I don't know, but there are twin boys, and their father is a career criminal, basically in and out of prison his whole life, and they never really got to know their father very well. And as the twins grew up, one of them followed in their dad's footsteps, and he also was going in and out of prison. He was locked up. The other one went on to become very successful in life and own very successful businesses. And so when I asked them both, they went to the one that was in prison, the twin, and said, like, why are you here? Like, why? Like, what brought you here? And he said, well, if you knew who my dad was, you would understand. Right? Because he basically just followed in his dad's footsteps. Then they asked the other twin, the successful twin, said, how'd you get to where you're at today? And he said, well, if you knew who my dad was, then you'd understand. And they're both right? They're both right. It was just a perception. One twin decided, hey, that's what my dad did, so I'm going to do the same thing. And the other twin said, that's what my dad did, and I don't even know him. I'm not going to follow his footsteps. And did the quite opposite. This perception. So this close family friend who they think about their death and they freeze up and they don't even take action, where I'm the opposite, where it's like, I think about my death all the time, so it makes me want to take a lot of action. It's interesting. I thought it was a little interesting. But anyway, to be transparent with all of you listening, that's a thing that goes to my mind. And at first it was a little like concerning to me, but now I just use it as motivation. I don't know what's right or wrong. I don't know if I should go see a therapist or not, but the thought of my death worries me multiple times a day. I don't know. Because I guess I want to see my loved ones as long as I can. I want to experience life. I mean, I love life. And I want to experience every moment of it. Anyway, little side tangent. All right, last speaker, closing it out, was Andy Frisella. Wow, this guy's, and I've heard this podcast before, but like sometimes you see these people in person and you hear them talk in person. It's like, wow, it's another level. It's like a concert, right? Like you have maybe a favorite band or singer or performer, and you love them. You love their music. You love their songs. But then when you see them live, it's like a whole other level. It's kind of like that. So this is what he said. You have an obligation to create an amazing story that 8-year-old you would be excited to become. Wow. Wow, right? I'll read it again. You have an obligation to create an amazing story that your 8-year-old self would be excited to become. Think about your 8-year-old self. If your 8-year-old self looked at you today, would they be excited to grow up? That is pretty powerful in my opinion. It's almost like you're reverse engineering. So many times we look at our future. Hey, in the future I want to be here. In the future I want to be there. In the future I want to do this. In the future I want to do that. But what if you reverse engineered it a little bit and said, okay, let me go back in time. If I was 8 years old, looking at myself, what would I think? Now, to be honest with you, my 8-year-old self would be like, wait, you're not an NBA player? Because that was kind of like my goal at that age. I think I wanted to be in the NBA. Yeah, not happening. But no, I think 8-year-old me would be happy with where I'm at and what I've become. I think the 8-year-old me would be like, man, you got a smoking wife, dude. I think they'd be happy with the house I live in, the businesses I've created, the relationships I've built. I think they'd be excited. I think the 8-year-old version of myself would be excited of the person I am today. But I will say the person I am today, I do think I could be better. I think there's times where I could have done more, could have been more focused, could have done better things, bigger things, taken more risks. It's all hindsight, though. Hindsight, as we all know, is 20/20 vision. But I do think that, and I think it's a great thing to do. Not even 8-year-old self, but maybe my 20-year-old self. Hey, with my 20-year-old self, because my 20-year-old self has a different mentality than my 8-year-old self. Would my 20-year-old self be happy with the person I am today? I think they would be happy, but I think also they'd be a little bit disappointed because of the things I mentioned a little bit ago. There was knowing what I know. I think I could have taken better action, especially the 30-year-old version of myself. But that's okay, right? Every day is another day to breathe in air, make improvements, and be better. I hope that you learned something from these. I hope these helped you. I hope you're excited to be the person that you are becoming, because you are awesome. Just want you to remember that. And I'll catch you next episode. Bye.